Hey, what's up guys, it's Xavier and welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about SMS and RVM campaigns. I'm going to show you the funnel flow, exactly how it works, so you can understand at a high level how to send out text messages and ringless voicemails to generate motivated seller leads for your real estate investing business. Now let's jump into it. So what I recommend for text message and RVM campaigns is that you need a lot of data to make this work. This is a volume game because you're sending out text messages to roughly about 3 to 5% of the people that are in a distressed situation right now that are looking to get an offer on their property. If you're going after a much more niche data set, so you're looking at like water shutoffs, tax liens, tax delinquents, those type of things, I would reserve those for cold calling because your chance of success when dialing on the phone is a lot higher, but you can still send SMS and RVM to those data sets. Or if you're looking for smaller things like mobile homes or land deals, things like that, you can do that. Just know that you won't have a ton of volume, so you may have to hit those numbers multiple times, and sometimes that can be really frustrating for the end consumer on the end to get multiple text messages from you about the same thing. So that's why I typically recommend with this particular data strategy, or this particular strategy, that we use broader data sets like absentee owners and inherited properties. That gives you much more data, and in some cases, if you want to go even more high volume, if you're targeting specific zip codes, you can try to get the numbers for that entire zip code. So the way that you procure the data, if you're not familiar with it, is you go to a data company. I recommend National Data Source for this. Go to a data company, you buy the data for a couple cents a record, and then you get it skip trace for anywhere between 18 and 20 cents per record. Skip tracing is what's going to bring back actually the owner's data, so the phone numbers of people at that property, so that you can actually use them in your RVM SMS campaigns. If you're just driving for dollars and you're doing individual properties, it makes it hard to do text messaging because you don't have a lot of data. So it makes sense to go out and buy a couple thousand records to utilize this strategy. So this is really for investors that are wanting to scale and wanting to bring in more motivated sellers so they can do 5, 10, 15, 20 deals a month. So like I said, what I recommend is absentee owners, inherited properties. And the way that the funnel flow works is from that data set, we want to initially hit them with a ringless voicemail. What this does is help with carrier approval. So Verizon's, T-Mobile, Sprint's, what they're looking for is there interaction back and forth from the phone numbers that are sending out. One of the things that you don't want to do that will hurt your deliverability with sending to the numbers is you don't want to just go out and blast them all certain things that have certain spam words. So like free, anything with dollar signs or emojis in the first few messages will kind of get you axed by the carriers. You want to make sure that your message gets through. So that's the first thing that I'm looking for, is increasing our deliverability. Sending out a ringless voicemail helps you get better text message delivery, because technically it's a phone call to the device that signals to the carriers like, hey, this is an interaction back and forth. This was a successful call attempt, but we're just leaving a voicemail. And in some cases, you'll run into people that have a full mailbox. They'll have they won't have their voicemail set up and things like that. And we have what's called conditional responses. Now, not every text message software has this. We recommend Slingshot SMS for this because you can do failed conditional replies. So what that means is if I go to leave a ringless voicemail and someone's mailbox is full, I can then configure a text message on the back end to say, hey, just tried to leave you a voicemail. Notice that your inbox was full. Hey, I'm just in the area, what I would say is, I'm a cash buyer and I'm looking to see if you're selling your property and know it's not on the market. Let me know if you want an offer on your property as soon as possible. So that's what you would do for a failed response. On a successful response, you would send a text message and say, hey, just wanted to follow up. And again, in Slingshot SMS, it'll allow you to do these conditional replies, which helps your deliverability and helps you get better success out of your data. Some softwares don't allow that, so you're wasting a lot of money on data that you're not actually getting delivered to or getting the message through to. So on successful SMS, we got the RVM sent, they got the voicemail. We want to send a successful text right after the ringless voicemail hits, basically saying, hey, just left you a voicemail, wanted to see if you want a cash offer on your property. I'm a cash buyer looking to make offers. I know it's not on the market. Let me know if you want to offer on your property as soon as possible. So out of that, what you're going to get is 2 separate types of replies. What I would recommend for the RVM replies is setting something up in CallRail so you can track the calls that are coming in and seeing what your response rate is for those campaigns, because there's a couple of KPIs that I'll talk about that you'll want to track in these campaigns to make sure that it's a success for you. with any marketing campaign, you want to keep an eye on these KPI, on any of the KPIs that make sense for it, so you're not wasting your dollars on the marketing. So with CallRail, it'll allow you to see what your response is from your ringless voicemails. You'll get calls back that are calling the number that you sent out to, and you want to forward those to a CallRail number. So the other type of response that you'll get from this campaign is text message replies. So inside of Slingshot SMS, you'll have a messenger area. Really, any SMS campaign should have a messenger area where you can see the replies that are coming back from the text messages that you sent out. So sometimes people will say things like, no, I don't have a property for sale, or yes, I want an offer, or screw you, or F off, or any of those different situations, which happens when you're sending people a text message. So you can set things like stop words to automatically get those out of your messenger center, so that way you don't have to see those. But for the ones where you have positive replies, you want to folder those into a bucket, so you can see all of your positive replies. Now, the goal is not to try and lock up the contract on the text message reply. The goal of all of this is to push them back to an appointment. So whether it's a call back from the ringless voicemail or a message back from the SMS, a reply, the goal is not to try and make an offer immediately then and there. It's to set up an additional appointment to where you can control the sale. The reason why you want to do this is positioning and posture. This is just really sales 101. So if someone calls back on a ringless voicemail, instead of trying to go into it right then and there, just say, hey, let's set up a time where I can find out a little bit more about your property to see what kind of offer we can get for you. Immediately what that does for the prospect is lets them know that you're credible, lets them know that you have their best interest in mind, because you want to set up a time. You don't want to just throw out an offer to them right away, and you want to feel out what their situation is. Sometimes people are calling back just to mess with you. Sometimes people are calling back to find out who you are, what's going on, and you want to filter out those situations and set yourself appointments. So when you set those appointments, that's when you want to do your seller appointment, where you do the fact finding. You can actually come up with an offer on the property, and it'll help you convert more of these into contracts that you can then flip the paper on it, whether you're fixing, flipping, buying, holding, wholesaling, whatever that makes sense. Whatever your exit strategy is there that makes sense for you. So that's the overall system. That's how it works. Again, the places that I recommend to help make this work is nationaldatasource.com and Slingshot SMS. You can run the same system. You can go buy data. You can get the types of data that you need in your area, run them through the system. The other tool that I recommend is CallRail. You can go get CallRail set up so you can have your call route set up. So that way when someone calls back from the ringless voicemail, they'll go to a phone number that's tracked, so you can see how many phone calls you get back. Inside of Slingshot SMS, you'll see how many replies you get. And those are the main KPIs that you want to look at. So of the data that you purchase, what I would recommend is creating separate buckets. So if it's absentee and inherited, create those as separate campaigns so you can see the response rate on those. The main thing you're looking for is deliverability. So was my message sent? How many of those succeeded? How many failed? Inside of any campaign, in any software, you should be able to see this. What was my deliverability? What was my response rate? How many appointments did I book from it? And how many deals did I close? And you want to keep those for each data set. So that way when you go to buy data, your data strategy is, let's buy more of the data that worked. If you're not getting deals from inherited or absentee properties, let's try another data set. If it's absentees that are doing really well, or let's say it's mobile homes or land deals or multifamily is what you're after. You want to keep track of that so you're not wasting thousands of dollars on data and skip tracing that you're never going to use again. And you want to make sure that you're using the right types of data to get you the best response rates. And if you keep track of those KPIs, you'll always make sure that you're on the right path to getting more motivated seller leads. So this is how the SMS RVM campaign works. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you are enjoying the content, we'll be talking about more of this more in depth. Make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, and comment below what your current marketing strategy is. I'd like to see what you guys are up to and see how I can help out. So if you have questions about this, comment down below. But again, make sure that you subscribe, like the video, and I will see you in the next video.